Ballina Road there, that little square knob at the top.
And down to the mile, see, down the
Yes.
bridge to the mile. So that's the old railroad passing through to Killala.
Yes. And those are streams.
Yeah. Part of the Rosserk River.
Yes. Yeah. So all of them combined then. Yeah.
That's Tubbermurra, where the Dorchach or House of
That's right, the Holy Well.
Rosserk Abbey.
That's right down on the shoreline.
And it's Porton, I suppose Crab Island.
Yeah.
Carrigeen's, small rocks. And Alawan or Alone could be the white Al or cliff face.
Yes, close into the shore.
That'll be the sandbanks, the walks. And another little river running in here from the other townland there.
Right. Yeah, well, it's
Rosserk House.
Yeah.
And the corner that operates today.
Yeah, it still does, I believe. Yeah.
And the mill pond there.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Some of the old offices are a bit neglected now.
Yeah. Rosserk River. Size of the townland there, almost 1,096 acres. This is Byron Schlebe here, I suppose the townland of the hill or the mountain.
Yeah.
Marshy area up here.
Yes.
And there's one of the many forests in it, Rat Park, I think. Well, Rat Park would be the fourth of the field.
Yeah.
There's another river, a tributary running into the Rosserk River. Mount another fort there, I don't know what the name of that one is. And there's a part of Rat Ruin Lake.
Yeah, that's what the Ballina dump, or part of that.
Yeah, well, it has been drained now by the Moy drainage in the last few years, and so there's hardly any lake at all there visible. Here we're trying to find the boundary on the Rosserk Road at the western end of the townland.
Ah, yes. We turn left at the halfway house now.
Yeah, well, the boundary is right of that fence running up there now. It's on the right hand side. And it crosses the road here.
Yeah. And there's some reclamation done there. The old marks are destroyed now.
And it shoots away over there for the lake. Now there must have been a fence or a drain there at one time marking the boundary. It has disappeared now.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
And I think there's a fence through the middle of that if we can see it. Through the middle of that
when you
lake
can see the
there.
line of bushes, all right, yes.
And out the top of the hill then. There we're trying to see the fence that goes through it.
Oh, you can see the seagulls on the dump now.
Yeah. And that ditch out the top of the hill, I think there is the boundary line, that one. Comes from Erk's Point of Land, or Serk's Point, according to O'Donovan of 1838. According to stories from the O'Dowda country by G. O'Reilly, published in 1971, and she now lives in Inniscrone, she states that the district got its name from Sharka, a holy woman who was said to have blessed the Ross or promontory at that particular place. The name Rosserk could have come from Sharka's Wood or Peninsula. It contained 1,074 acres of land in 1838. It had 16.5 acres of water and 120 acres of bog and pasture. Now I suppose a lot of the water would be over there where Rat Ruin Lake is today, or has been dried up or drained today. It was Bishop's land. It was the property of Captain Green. He lived in the townland. 80 farmers had it leased for 21 years at a rent of £300 yearly. Oats, flax and potatoes were the crops that they grew. In 1856, the immediate lessor of this townland was Colonel Arthur Knox Gower. The townland occupiers were Richard Green, John Wills, Alex Boyd, Richard Goodwin, John Brennan, John Morrison, Hugh Gallagher, Thomas Knight Jr., Anne Mahan, Daniel Gallagher, Captain Augustus Bolton. He was in the Heard's house. Patrick Egan, Patrick Cairns, William Langan, John Brennan, Colonel Arthur Knox Gower, Michael Goodwin. Today this townland has 1,096 acres of land. It has also 7 islands. Inishdu was one of them, Alawan, Alone, Inishporton, Carrigeen's, about 4 islands in this. In this townland are the ruins of Rosserk Abbey or Friary. O'Donovan dates it back to at 1011 AD. Tabermere, a corn mill which still works, a mill pond, sluice gates, Rosserk River. There are a few more rivers too that I can't find names for. Part of the remains of the old railroad to Killala is also in this townland up here on the west side. In 1640, 120 acres of this was church land, and the other 403 acres belonged to the Earl of Cork's Protestant land. He had a big area of land down here. It was called Rosserk and Ligan then. We'll point down towards us, sir. Now this is the monastery, or the ruins of it.
That's right. From the river now, looking up, and that side of it, as you can see now, hasn't been pointed. The Board of Works are doing a restoration job there, and the front of it. Yeah, and you see the gable there now is pointed. That wall along there is new too.
These two holes here are windows, aren't they?
That's right. Into the piscina or the sacraria inside.
The tower.
Yes, and you can see two of these spouts are still there, complete.
The water. There's
right.
there's about 6 of them up there.
Yes, but a lot of them are broken. I mean, there's a couple of them still complete. Now the tower, they say, is about 60 feet in height. You can see some of the original roofing stones. Where they're gone again now. We're around to the
decorated windows.
Yeah,
yes,
stone. Yeah, that's it.
Great stonework.
And there's a nice little angel too. That is very easy to miss.
Yes, we see it down there. Looking down ahead now towards the east.
Yes.
Rosserk Abbey, or Friary. There in the background. O'Donovan, in his notes, states it goes back to 1011 AD, a Franciscan friary. Bishop Thomas MacDonald, in his book The Diocese of Killala, thinks it was built around the year 1441 AD. It was probably built on the site of an ancient oratory that was here, maybe built by St. Patrick himself. This woman, Sharka, or Serk, was connected with this place down here. She was the daughter of Carabra, who was the son of Owley, that gave this area around here its name. She was supposed to be a miracle worker and visited the Holy Well each day for water. Now the Holy Well is over in that direction, over there. There was a house of penance over there too, called a Durcha. There was some trouble here around the 15th century when the friars were asked to reform and accept stricter observance. Friar Nehemias O'Donoghue asked them to do it. Now, many of them did, and some of them did not. And those that did were supposed to have moved down to mine and built another Franciscan abbey or friary. And they gave the reason as that for having mine friary built so close to this one. Now, it may have been different. In the time of Queen Elizabeth, the abbey here came to an end. It had 120 acres at the time. It was leased to Sir Patrick Barnwall. It came to an end as a monastery around 1626, at around that time.
No, there was only that little bit where the card is, opposite the card.
The Silk Friary.
Yeah. Now talk about vandals, they're not all gone yet. Damage. Fortunately, they were able to put most of it back together again. Yeah. And according to this, with the colouring, all of this was built at the same time. And the tower, they say, is a later addition.
Yeah. Where are we situated now? Yes. In this?
We came in this passageway.
Yeah.
We're standing here.
Yeah.
The church is to the right of us.
Oh yeah.
And there's a transept away there.
Yeah.
Underneath here are rooms with barrelled vaulting on them.
Yeah.
And overhead then there are dormitories. Most of these Franciscan houses are built to a kind of a uniform plan. On our left here now, you can see that one with the tall chimney, kitchen and the refectory over it.
Over here?
Yeah.
Kitchen there?
Kitchen there, yes. And refectory overhead, it says.
Oh yeah, with the yes.
Yes. Across on this side then, underneath, you have the sacristy, at that door, chapter room then next to it, and overhead again would be a dormitory.
Yeah, where the monks slept.
Yes. For the chapter room, first of all they had a reading, a spiritual reading, and then the different jobs for the day were assigned to them. And then the reading was probably from scripture and also from their rule, or from some spiritual writing.
Yeah. Oh, that was the sacristy door there.
Yeah, that would be the door out into the cloister.
Cloister. We're here in the cloister now, so you went in there and to the right into the church.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. This is where the monks now walked around, wasn't it?
Well,
more or
yes,
less.
but on rainy days they get wet. But and that was the idea, and it left an open space in the middle too.
Yeah. It was better arranged than mine, wasn't it? They had archways all around.
Yeah, they had a covered cloister. Yes.
Yeah. Founded in 1440.
Well, that's what it says. But there's different tellings on that.
What year would you date it?
I can't, and neither can anybody else.
Yeah.
All we know, he says 1440 because there is a document in existence to show that there was a grant for certain privileges made to them in 1441, which would infer that they're there before that. Now, a lot of the textbooks say 1400, but there isn't very much foundation for that except one followed the other. And a man called Alaman was the first to say that, and he said it was founded by Joyce. Now, nobody is certain of that either. How Joyces came to be there.
Well, they don't think it was Joyce. They think the Joyces were down the Connemara country somewhere.
Well, that would be their home territory.
Yeah.
But everybody followed the first man. And now whether he was right or wrong, as I say, is open to question. It was probably later, and that's nearer the date. But to be certain it was 1440, you can.
Yeah. Bishop MacDonald dates it at 1441.
Well, that's on account of that grant.
Yeah. Rosserk Friary.
This is one of the best preserved of the Roman Franciscan friaries in Ireland. It was founded by Joyce for the Third Order Franciscans shortly before 1442. The church was burned by Bingham in 1590. Unusual features are the carvings on the piscina in the chancel, showing a round tower, angels, and the instruments of the Passion, erected by both Falchi Éireann. Well, I think there are mistakes in that. We've already said something about the date, the date of foundation. For the Third Order of Franciscans, but the one I'd like to contradict is that it says there it was burned by Bingham in 1590. Well, it wasn't. Neither was mine. Neither was Raffran. That's based on an entry in the Annals of Lough, which was scored out. It has a footnote. And this was not burned by Bingham, because it wouldn't be in such good state of preservation if it had been.
Yeah.
That plaque is erected there now beside the main entrance door, and when we get to the outside of it, we'll see that there are carvings and decorations on that too.
Would that be the main entrance?
It would be to the church. Now the church itself, it's said to be 99 feet long by 20 feet wide, and about the round tower, as you can see, is very much on the same style as mine, except that it doesn't have a stairway. And the strange thing about it now is Father Donat Mooney, who did a visitation of the monasteries after they had been suppressed in 1618, talks about the beautiful view from the top of this one. I think he must be mixing it up with mine.
Yeah.
There is a story, though, that in 1798 there was a local man on the run, and that somehow or other he got up into that, and that food used to be passed up to him with in a basket, let down on a rope. But that may be just a legend.
They may have had intentions of that because there are windows up along there, aren't there?
Oh yes, and at one time, you can see the openings for the bell rope, and there would have been access to it from overhead, but not from down here.
Now this here was the church, wasn't it?
Yes.
For the people. Mass, if they attended Mass, etc., wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. And the altar was at the other end up there, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's still a position.
Yeah.
The altar is still a position there.
Yeah.
And then along to the right, there's a thing here too, which some of the guidebooks have wrong. We'll wait till we get closer to it.
Right.
Well, as you can see, the original altar is there in position. The only thing missing now out of it is the slab here, where the relics of the saints were. And they have been removed, and the slab is missing as well.
Yeah.
Where on this side then would be probably a grave, and also the seat where they used to sit for high masses.
That's the stone over the wall there. Yeah. Yeah.
And next to it then there's a broken holy water font as well.
Broken holy water font. Right.
You can see there, these would be the Sacrarium or Piscina, and these carvings. That's the round tower on one of them. Beautifully done.
It's not the Killala round tower, is it?
No, well there will be certain resemblance. There's a doorway down there. No,
just a carving of a round tower.
Carving of a round tower.
Yeah.
It's not a copy of it. And these little angels, they're not so little, with decorations on their coats.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would be amused to think that anybody would dress them up like that. There's enough. The head is missing off this now. It's some kind of a griffin or
dolphin or a hawk
animal. Inside here too, you have copies of more or less the ribbed vaulting under the tower there.
Oh yes, nice stonework.
Yes, ribbed vaulting. And there's a little bit here that it's easy to miss too. This has carving copied like the ones, you know, with leaf, like you have on the bottom of the ones here.
Yeah. Oh, there were windows there.
Yes. Yeah.
There wouldn't have been glass in them, would there?
I don't think so. Well, there's a funny thing, there's a cutting there. Yes, there could have been.
Yeah.
There could have been.
Yeah.
There's a groove cut in the stone, all right.
Yeah. Beside the altar.
Yeah.
The tower. Yeah, there's one there. Two in it.
Yeah.
For the bell ropes.
That's right. The ends of these supporting arches have decorations. That's, I think, meant to be a vine leaf with some grapes on it.
Oh yeah.
They're typical Franciscan decorations anyway.
Yeah.
And the other one here now.
Hold on, that one there now.
That's another decoration. Flowers or leaves, I'm not sure.
There's grapes on that too, isn't there?
I think, yes.
In between the two.
There is.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think that is?
It could be a winged lion, and that would be a symbol for St. Mark, I think.
Okay. What do you think he is?
I'm not sure. It's a winged angel, maybe a symbol for St. Luke.
I see a bugle or a horn on his hand or anything
He
there.
seems.
Wouldn't be Gabriel, no?
Maybe.
Blowing his horn.
Maybe blowing his horn.
Yeah. Call of the Judgment Day.
Right.
This behind you here, Canon, now is a side chapel.
That's a side chapel, yeah.
Yeah.
As in the case of mine, I had to make for more room.
For people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, again, some of the guidebooks foolishly say that that was a confessional. And you can see that it certainly was not.
They make out it was a confessional.
I know. Well, it couldn't have been.
Yeah.
Now, that would be for people who weren't used to going to confession. That's really about the size of it. It's a room for keeping the vestments and vessels to do with these two altars.
Yeah.
You can see there the alcove for the altar.
Yeah.
Here was another piscina or sacrarium.
That's where they washed their hands, was it?
Well,
water in that, was there?
This would be after the wine and the water that would be left after Mass. You see, having been blessed and having been used for Mass, they would have been poured down there.
Oh, down this little hole here in the stone, yeah.
And there was another altar here, and the same would have applied in the case of this one.
So there was another altar here, Kenneth?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And that would be, the hole in the wall there would be for ventilation and for a little bit of light as well.
Light. Yeah. There's a burial here, isn't there?
Well, one of many. This is the only one with the stone.
IHS, is it?
That looks like, that's INRI there.
Yeah.
IHS here and across to it. This is a head. This is another head, and it looks like wings, like the angel we were looking at a while ago.
Yeah.
The name is completely blotted out. It's weathered off it now.
Yeah. Must be somebody of consequence.
Yes.
Uh,
I don't know.
what would you call this window here?
Well, it's a main window over the high altar, and that we call it trellis work.
Ornamentation.
Carving. Yes.
Yeah. The main church of Rosserk Abbey, and we see a tombstone here, Richard Mangan and Patrick Mangan.
Yes.
They're related to Pádraig, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Granduncles.
Granduncles.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea when the year was? You know, when they were?
It was the 1850s they'd be here,
1850s.
or 60s, something
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're standing now in the dormitory, or one of the dormitories, and underneath this now you have the sacristy and the chapter room and so on. And that opening there, they say, is in case there was an invalid or somebody who was sick, and their bed could have been put in there so that they'd be able to see what was going on at the altar,
Yeah.
and hear the office being chanted.
Yeah.
Now, the floor, just as in the case of mine, that's a later addition. That's to preserve the barrel vaulting underneath now in these.
Yeah. This was done by the Board of Works lately, wasn't it?
Yes.
In the past couple of years.
Well, not more than 10 years ago anyway.
Yeah.
Previous to that, it was an accumulation of leaf, mould and various things. So that was shoveled away, and this job was done. And there's pointing done, as you can see, round about too.
Yeah. Oh, they did a good job of preservation, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Well,
Yeah.
right behind you now, there's in here. It might be. It's not really much of a puzzle. I think if you do your imagination, that was the toilet. There's a corresponding one over on the other side.
Yeah.
And then it would have been boarded over, and there's an opening down at the bottom, then where when it got filled up,
And a
the
drain
soil
for
could
the
be removed. Yeah.
for the river, I suppose.
Yeah. In at this side now, into my right, is the way into the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Into the kitchen.
That's the way down. According to the plan down there now in the cloister arcade, this was the refectory where they used to have their meals. And there's a fine big fireplace. And it reminds me of when I was a small child. And before we went to bed, my granny used to say, warm your feet, child, before you go to bed.
At the fire.
And I said the monks probably did the same
Yeah.
before they went over the other side.
Yeah.
This one.
No.
I think the technical name for that is a slike, SLYPE. It was for spilling out wastewater, maybe after the washing up, or I suppose they washed their faces, and probably they shaved too.
I think very little shaving in those days.
Well, not much, except they were tonsured,
Yeah.
that had to clip their tonsure in on time.
Yeah. Yeah. Out here.
Yeah, well, that's it's for spilling waste away. There's a way out now to another dormitory on this side.
Yeah.
It mightn't occur to people nowadays, but you see there were no guest houses or hotels or anything. And for travellers, they had one place where they used to put up visitors, and the rest would be for the community. Now that might be the community dormitory, and this could be for the visitors, or maybe the other way around.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much sleeping space, because they needed it for travellers.
Yeah. And again, the floor is, the underneath thing is protected by this stonework overhead by the Board of Works.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There's something in here in the corner too again.
That's another garderobe again, and another of these toilets.
Yeah.
And the window, you know, the window, that's stone.
The way out,
up or down.
up or down. 2 entrances.
Yeah, one at each end.
Cloister Garth.
Yes. Now, in this particular one, you can see a collection of carved stones that they have preserved. And close to us here, they look like window members, or, well, you see mostly door jambs possibly, maybe lintels as well.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something on,
There's
on the
something
face.
probably under
There's
that,
something on
would
the
there?
face of that, yeah. And that's why you have all the flagging overhead now to preserve this.
Yeah. From the weight.
Yes, these are flags set on their edge, and they call this barrel vaulting.
Yeah.
There's one on this side too, and that's probably a broken one from the look. This is the main entrance now to the church.
Yeah.
And you can see the end of this had a head on it, and that's chipped off and broken there. The other one has completely disappeared.
Demolished, yeah.
Yeah. This one here now, these are leaves carved on it, and up on the top I suspect there was something as well. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4 members in this arch, and these kind of upright pillars. That's that was kind of Norman architecture to begin with.